Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Intuition Activation Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, a spiritual medium and intuitive coach, and I'm so excited that you're here to join me for this intuitive development journey. And guys, I'm so excited because it is here. We are in the Lion's Gate portal. So, for those of you who follow me on Instagram, perhaps you've been hearing me talk about this for the last couple of days. The Lion's Gate portal is an energetic portal. I don't know all of the specific astrology things that go along with it, but all I do know is that from July 26th until August 12th, we are in this window of time where our connection to spirit and to the spiritual realms are stronger than they are any other time in the year, or at least this is one of the strongest times. And the portal itself is August 8th, so the 8/8 date. And this is sort of when all of your intuitive downloads come through. Your connection to spirit is really strong. Your intuitive abilities are heightened, and you're just so connected to your spirit guides, to your loved ones, to things on the other side. The messages are clearer than ever right now. Guys, this is honestly my favorite time of year. I even remember last year when this portal kind of came through, or when this portal hit at this same time of year, and all of the intuitive downloads that came through, it was the time where I received the download that I needed to start a podcast and what it should be called and what I was supposed to talk about. And, all of the things that kind of culminated into me creating this podcast. And, so I really want to spend a little bit of time today kind of sharing with you how you can optimize this time, this kind of little 2 week window or week and a half window where the veil is very thin and your intuition is so heightened. The other thing I do want to talk about that we're going to discuss today is is a little bit about dreams, because a lot of you have been reaching out to me this week and saying that your dreams have been absolutely wacko. They've been so vivid, and that is also part of this Lionsgate portal energy. So I really want to give you some information about what you can do over the next few days as we head into the actual portal on August the 8th. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And before we do that, though, the August 1st, the August energy forecast did come out yesterday on August 1st. And I really, really want to encourage you to go and have a listen to it. I actually just listened back to it just now before hopping on to record this episode, because I really wanted to make sure that I could give you some advice that actually came through from that channeled message. And guys, it is such a powerful message, the idea of the solar flare or the solar energy really coming through. This feeling of being really vital, feeling so much energy, feeling so connected to source this month. And I think a lot of that has to do with this portal coming through and with the energy that's coming through this month. And so I'm going to give you some examples of things that I've been experiencing since this window, this Lionsgate portal energy field has started to come through. And so definitely a lot of vivid dreams. So you guys know I have a 3-month-old. I'm not particularly getting the deepest, REM sleep. And I'm definitely not sleeping in long spurts. So it's very rare for me to be getting dreams. But this week I have been dreaming, and they have been vivid, and I have been remembering them. And they have been so wild and so random and so out there. And so we're definitely going to take a moment after I give some other tips on how you can go about harnessing those dreams and what they mean. But definitely, I want you to notice, are you having really crazy, vivid dreams this week? Because that is really part of the energy. The other thing I'm really noticing is that messages from my spirit guides are so clear and so obvious. So I'm going to give you an example of what's coming through. I notice it, and this is really good for the claircognizance out there, for the people who say they don't channel, because I experience this too. I will have a thought, and I'll just assume it's my own thought. And it's usually sort of like a suggestion. So here's the one that happened to me. I think it was yesterday, the day before. I was grocery shopping at Costco and I was walking down the drinks aisle and saw a big crate of coconut water. And I thought to myself as I was walking down, maybe I should get a crate of coconut water. And this was a strange thing. I don't normally buy coconut water at Costco. It was like this beautiful organic, one ingredient coconut water. And I do enjoy coconut water, but I don't drink it that often. And I remember thinking like, that's a weird thought. I wonder why I was thinking that. And then I kind of went, no, I don't normally buy coconut water here. That's not necessary. And I just kept walking. And I remember kind of, debating on it for a minute and kind of going, that was weird. Why did that thought come into my head? And so I check out, and later that day, I was taking Benny, my little one, to the craniosacral therapist. And she, we were having some conversations about, breastfeeding him and the positions we were breastfeeding. And all of a sudden, very randomly, she says, you know what helped me so much when I was breastfeeding my little ones is drinking lots of coconut water. It kept my supply up so much. And it was something was just, it was so helpful. And people were always wondering why how I was able to keep up and have so much breast milk. And she said she attributed it all to coconut water. And so I started to laugh because I told her, isn't that funny? I just had that sort of what I didn't realize was an intuitive download earlier that day, and I ignored it. And now Spirit is making sure that I really heard the message and had somebody actually say it to me again that day. So the message came through. And so I literally giggled in that moment. And the craniosacral therapist, she's quite spiritual as well. So I literally told her what happened and said, thank you, spirit guides. I got the message. And right after I left that therapy session with Benny, we headed right to the health food store and I bought a couple of bottles of coconut water and drank it down. And lo and behold, it has really done wonders for my breast milk supply. So for those of you breastfeeding mamas out there, hot tip, definitely drink some coconut water. It's really helpful. It's been really, really hot this week. And so that makes sense that I might need some of the extra electrolytes. And so I've been noticing that this has been a bit of a pattern for me lately, that I'll have a thought and maybe I'll dismiss it. But then after that, I will kind of receive it as somebody telling me the same thing that I was just thinking about as a way of spirit making sure that I really receive the message. And so if you are claircognizant and this happens to you, I want to say that, first of all, it's going to happen a lot more over this week, that if you have a thought, but you're doubting it, right? Because a lot of the times I always tell you that, sometimes our intuitive downloads don't feel very different than our own thoughts, and it can be very hard to discern them and distinguish them from regular thoughts. But then if it gets sent back to you in another way, so somebody speaks it to you in conversation, or it pops up on your Instagram feed or a YouTube video or on the radio or in a passing conversation that you hear from somebody else, that is not a coincidence. That is your guides doing whatever they can to be persistent and make sure that you get the message. So that particular pattern has been happening a lot for me over the last few days, where I'll have a thought, possibly dismiss it, and then have it said to me by somebody in passing or in conversation. So definitely look out for those situations coming through, where if you think about something and then it also shows up in your feed or your social media feed or in a conversation. That's been happening a lot for me lately. And so sort of my guides being as persistent as they can. So I want you to pay attention to that the conversation that you're having with your guides is a lot more of a casual conversation. It's just coming into your mind. This couple of weeks, I really want you to pay attention to the thoughts that are coming through. If it feels like a random thought and you kind of literally went, that's so random, why did I just think that? Then maybe it wasn't you who thought that. Maybe it was your spirit guide sending you a message in this moment. I'm going to encourage you this month to keep voice recorder app available on your phone. So the voice notes and or notes available, or a notepad and paper and pen wherever you go. Because if I remember even correctly from last time, all of the intuitive downloads came through at this time, especially on August 8th, where it was just sort of like I felt lit up. Energy and information and ideas were pouring into my body. I'd never had more clarity than I had before. So if there's something that you have sort of been wondering about, or maybe you don't know how you're going to navigate a certain thing, a certain situation, maybe you're kind of debating on what to do for your business that you're trying to launch, or what the right choice is, or you just don't know what your next step is going to be, even silly things like where your next vacation is going to be. I'm telling you guys, all of the clarity is just going to come through this week. And so really be listening to your thoughts, really give yourself the time to have that blank space so that your thoughts can wander, so that the energy in the quiet, those thoughts can come through, those downloads can come through. So if you're going to go for a walk by yourself, take your earbuds out. Don't listen to any music. Just let your mind wander, because the inspired downloads will come. Pay attention to what comes through when you're alone in the shower and you're just letting your mind wander. Do what you can. Take the car when you're driving in the car this week. Don't turn on the radio. Just let your thoughts wander, and then notice what ideas are coming through for you over the next few days. Guys, this is the time that's going to set you up for the year ahead. I know we're like only a little bit more than halfway through 2024, but really the information that comes through in this Lionsgate portal usually comes to fruition in the new year, in January. And so it's almost like the goals that you're going to set in January kind of come through now, and that you can start taking action towards them now, or you can just hold on to those ideas and let them marinate a little bit until the end of the year, and then kind of kickstart them in January. And I know that that's sort of what happened for me. I got a lot of information, and so much information in August, or around the Lionsgate portal, and I just wrote it all down. And then I wasn't really able to kind of hold on to all of it and grasp all of it and start taking action on it until around December and January. And once I did, I hit the ground running. This podcast took off, and a whole bunch of other things kind of went into place. A lot of big manifestations came through in the new year, also around December as well. And so definitely pay attention to the ideas that come through that you're going to slowly start to put into gear and put into action towards the end of the year this year. So this is sort of the time where you receive the downloads, not necessarily the time where you have to take action on it immediately. Of course, if you feel lit up by it and you feel compelled to start taking action and inspired action, definitely go ahead and do that. But if it also feels a little overwhelming, or it just feels like a big idea, give yourself permission to marinate on it a little bit, to think about it, to kind of let it simmer for a moment. You'll know when it's time to start to take action on some of those things. Other things that I've been noticing in this month is that my body is really speaking to me more than it normally does. And so, finding myself being more sensitive to things, and my body really telling me what foods are aligned and which ones aren't. And so, this is the exercise I really want you guys to try as well. And I'm noticing now, as I'm reaching for a certain food to eat that I think I want, right? Or I'm just grabbing it because it's convenient and it's right there. I'll notice my body react immediately and tell me how it's going to make me feel before I've even eaten it. So I'll give the example of, many of you know that I used to be plant-based. For a long time, I was plant-based until sort of the tail end of this pregnancy, around the third trimester, when suddenly I was craving meat and meat-based products, possibly maybe because I was low in iron. I really am a proponent for intuitive eating and sort of whatever my body is craving, to sort of go for it as long as it's sort of good for you. Rarely do I crave things like sugar or things that aren't necessarily healthy. So I just lean into, if my body's asking for meat or bone broth or something like that, I will definitely go for it. And so this one was more out of, I was really hungry the other day and just reaching for what was easy and available. And I went and reached for some hard-boiled eggs. And as soon as I went and actually put my hand on the container, I suddenly felt like a little bit of a headache. And I went, I wonder if this is my body telling me how I'm going to feel when I eat this, because when I would let go, I didn't feel it. But every time I held it, I felt sort of kind of like a little headache coming on around my sinuses. And so, knowing full well that what the result most likely would be, I decided to experiment and eat the hard-boiled egg anyway. And lo and behold, I did get a headache right after following and eating it, and sort of a little bit of mental fogginess afterwards. And so after that, these last few days, I've been noticing which foods I'm gravitating towards, and the ones that, and on the flip side of that, for example, I felt compelled to have some watermelon, and like almost as if touching the watermelon, I could feel my body light up. I could feel my thirst being quenched. I could feel myself feeling more energized. And of course, then once I ate it, that's exactly how I felt. And then on the flip side of that, again, reaching towards there were like these, I don't know, they're really natural, but these like turkey sticks that my husband really likes to eat, and thinking like, oh, that's a good shot of protein, I should grab it. And again, once I grabbed it and didn't, before I even put it in my mouth, kind of feeling a little off, feeling kind of, my stomach started to feel kind of bloated. I hadn't even eaten it yet. And so decided to make a different choice and went ahead and had a salad instead, with some beautiful garbanzo beans and other kind of forms of protein. I throw some tofu in there instead. And so my body's starting to really speak to me this week. And so I would love to implore you guys to pay attention to that. Is your body starting to speak to you and tell you what's going to light it up, what's going to keep your vessel clear, so that you can continue to receive these downloads and these messages for the next couple of weeks, and just allow yourself to feel clearer, clearer than you have before. So that one has been really interesting for me. It's never felt so much like my body has spoken to me before, quite as much as it is doing so these couple of weeks. And then the last thing that I'm noticing this month is a lot of synchronicities. So this one is a little bit more kind of nuanced, I would say. But and if you go back to the episode where I talk about signs and symbols, and we talk about sort of angelic numbers and what is going on with those angelic numbers are showing up. So that has really been showing up for me, is that when there's a message I need to receive, so if there's a conversation I'm having, usually what's been happening is when somebody sends me a text message or an email and you see the timestamp on it, or if it's a voice note and it tells you how long that message was, it just so happens that every once in a while, the message will be at 1 minute and 11 seconds exactly, or 2 minutes and 22 seconds exactly. And so I know that whatever is being told to me through that message is sort of my spirit guide putting a stamp of approval on it, going, Jessica, pay attention to this message. So that one's been coming through a lot too. And even when I'm speaking to somebody, I know my husband and I were having a conversation in the kitchen, and we're really kind of struggling with trying to figure out childcare at this moment. And just if, whatever, we were having a conversation about what we do for our older son going forward. And I kind of threw my hands up and said, maybe we should just do this. And as I said it, the clock in the kitchen was behind my husband's head. And as soon as I said that, it hit 11:11 on the clock. And I went, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do. So that's been really, really interesting, that I'm noticing this sort of the numbers coming through as confirmation more and more as I'm having conversations with people. So that one's really cool. And the last one, I know I said the other one was the last one, but there is one more thing that I remembered just now that is real. I'm really, really noticing over just the last couple of days, is sort of tests coming through from the universe. And this one is a little bit more about manifestation, and we're definitely going to have an episode all about manifestation. I'm going to be bringing a guest on to help share a little bit more about it. But there's sort of this idea in the manifestation world that when you stake a claim to something that you're going to do differently, so you're wanting to make a change, you're wanting to be more in alignment, you want to do something, you've made a decision, and you're maybe trying to step away from an old pattern or an old habit. As soon as you do that, it's almost like the universe is going to test you and see, are you really going to do this? Are you really convicted in your new decision? Or are you going to just fall back into old patterns and habits? And this has been happening to me so much lately. So I have been making some decisions around my business and around programs that I'm creating and sort of timing for certain things. And as soon as I stated a claim to a friend, and I was sort of telling her like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it starting at this time of year, and that's very different than what I've normally done. Right away, as soon as I stated that to her, the next day I got emails from clients asking, are you going to do this particular thing the way I'd done it before? And are you going to do it in the time that I used to do it at? And I'm really excited and I want to sign up. And for me, that was sort of right away. It kind of throws you through a loop. You kind of go, oh, did I make the wrong decision? Because people are wanting what I've been giving already. Should I be jumping into this new thing when the old thing was working and seems to be working? People are asking for it. And it feels like a test. And it feels like And it's so tempting. I always call these tests like dangling carrots. It's so tempting to fall back into the old pattern and to do the thing that that you've always done because it's comfortable and it's soothing and you know that that what the result is going to be. And my dear friend, who I told about my new decision, she said, hold on, this is a test, right? I think that it's just you wondering if you should step into the new. She said, hold your ground and tell this client that you're going to be doing it later on and see what happens. And lo and behold, when I told her my new decision, she was just as on board. And so it was just sort of old fears coming up. And so this one is really, really coming up for me. And this idea of tests coming through and so obviously coming through that as soon as I stake a claim to something, I get questioned right away. Are you really going to show up this way or are you not? So pay attention to sort of the new claims you're staking on your life. If you're trying to make a difference, do these opportunities suddenly arise that are testing your judgment and your decision? And I'm noticing that really, really heightened at this particular time of the year. Yeah, so those are sort of some of the things that I'm experiencing in this portal, this energy portal, and it's really, really interesting. And I've been getting a lot of downloads as well around sort of designing my life and what I want my life to look like. And so I know that we are all one. And so if it's coming up for me, it's probably coming up for you as well. And so if you are sort of sitting here reevaluating what is the right timing for me, what is sort of the right schedule for me, what do I want my life to look like, what do I want my day-to-day schedule and flow to feel like, that's really something that I've been really thinking about and evaluating and testing out on a day-to-day basis of what is my flow going to be and what feels best and most aligned for me, for my productivity, for my happiness, for my vitality, for my health, all of those things. And as I've been testing it, I've been receiving immediate feedback from the universe as to whether or not it's aligned or it's not. So really, really interesting time. Definitely my favorite time of the year. And I do also want to sort of offer a couple of suggestions of what I will be doing on August 8th and what I hope you might do on August 8th as well. And so August 8th being the actual Lionsgate portal. So, right, the 8th day of the 8th month. And what I'm going to do is that I say that this is sort of when you are going to be most connected to source, to your spirit guides, to your loved ones. So never is there a better day to try tapping into your intuition. Definitely you can start now. Everything's so clear. Go back and listen to the Channeling 101 episode. I believe it's episode 2 or 3 in this podcast, and take some of those steps. Do the meditations, get out of your head and into your body, call in your spirit guides, connect to them, do some automatic writing, and really, really do a deep session, a deep connect on August 8th, especially. So for me, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to block out some time. I've already told my husband he has to take the kids out of the house. I'm going to light my Palo Santos and do a meditation, call in my spirit guides, and really just ask them, what do I need to know? What is it that you've been wanting to share with me that maybe I haven't been listening to because I've been so busy? Give me all the downloads. And I'm not even necessarily going to go in with questions that I have about my own life. I'm really going to allow it to just come through. I'm going to sit there and just ask, what do I need to know? What is for my highest good? And allow the downloads to just start flowing and to come through. Now, for me, I find sometimes that, first of all, this is a really good, you can do this both through just speaking to your guides. For me, I've really been tuning into my claircognizant abilities. And so I'll call in my guides and I'll ask them out loud, what do I need to know? And then I'll just start talking and allow them to talk through me. And I'll talk and kind of keep a voice recorder so that I can keep the messages, or I'll have a pen and paper there nearby so I can take notes. But if you're not quite at that point yet, or you don't feel that the messages come through for you that way, or it feels a little silly to talk to yourself, automatic writing is a really great tool to use. And so for those of you who don't remember, automatic writing being that you do the same things, right? Light your Palo Santos, take a few deep breaths, maybe do a meditation, ask your spirit guides, spirits of the light, are you here with me? Spirits of the light, please channel through me as I write. And then at the top of the page, write, spirit guides, what do you need me to know? And then just start writing whatever comes to mind. mind, stream of consciousness, just write until you can't write anymore, and allow them to speak to you and through you in that way. And guys, I'm telling you, on the 8th, you are not going to have any messages that are clearer in the year than those days. And so really, really, I do take it seriously. I end up going back to what comes through on the 8th all year long for the rest of the year. And it really does direct my business and my lifestyle and just everything else. The guides really will share. If you can even ask about specific categories. What do I need to know for my health? What do I need to know for my business? What do I need to know for my relationships? And just allow it to come through. What goals should I be setting? What needs to fall away? You can ask those types of questions, or you can just do what I'm going to do and say, what do you need me to know? What's coming through? And last August as well, that during the Lionsgate portal, not only did the idea for this podcast come through, it was also then that the spirit baby for this particular baby said, I'm coming really soon. And I ended up getting pregnant, I'm pretty sure that month. I I don't know exactly when I got pregnant because I didn't actually test positive until much, much later, or actually take a test until much later. But the baby did tell me they were coming in that meditation that I did on August 8th. And so, yeah, that one's coming through. And I do also remember waking up in the middle of the night, or I guess early in the morning on August 8th with downloads coming through. It was almost as if I was dreaming them. And then I kind of woke up and sat up and felt the need to just write it all down as well. So a lot of information really, really does come through that day. So those are all the tips and suggestions that I have for you for the August 8th Lionsgate portal. Really, really, if there's anything you can take from now until till August 8th is just really pay attention to those intuitive hits and downloads. Give yourself lots of time and space where your mind can wander so the information can come through, and keep something around so that you can keep track and take note of that information, and then keep it in a safe place, because even if you don't feel like taking action on it right now, you will as we head towards the tail end of the year. And so that's really beautiful. Now, the second thing I want to talk about for this week and in this portal is dreams. And I'm not going to do a full episode on dreams today, but we'll definitely do a more in-depth one at another time. I have a guest in mind that I am going to bring on when we talk about dreams, but I'm going to share with you what I sort of know about dreams. And I've taken a couple of kind of quick workshops on it as well. And this is something that we do in my 12-week program as well. We talk about dreams and what we can use them for, because a lot of people have been telling me that they've been experiencing wild and wacky and very vivid dreams, especially in this portal. And here's the thing about dreams. A lot of people ask me and wonder, can your spirit guides talk to you through your dreams? Are you receiving messages from your guides in your dreams? And I want to say yes and no. I tend to subscribe a little bit more to the Carl Jung theory about behind dreams, which is that your dreams are really a reflection of your subconscious. And so when there are things that are coming to the surface that are hiding in your subconscious, possibly old patterns, old traumas, childhood wounds, other things that are kind of directing your behavior on a subconscious level, when they're ready to surface, when they're ready to be looked at, when they're ready to be healed, and it's a pattern that's ready to change and ready to shift, it will come to you through your dream. And so my sort of take on it is that the dream itself might not be your spirit guide talking to you directly, but the fact that you are having that dream is sort of your spirit guide letting you know that it's time to clear that old neural pathway, that old subconscious belief, so to speak. And so the dreams that you're receiving, and when you do have dreams about people that often the dream is not a message about that person. It's not a message for that person, in the same way that you would be receiving a message from a spirit guide. If you were talking to a spirit guide and your spirit guide, and they were telling you about somebody in your life, usually that's a message completely in correlation to you or that person. It's for them and it's for you, and you have to take action on that. In your dreams, that's not the case. In your dreams, when you're dreaming about somebody, usually it's what that person represents for you, and it's a dynamic in your life that's needing to shift. So what did that person represent for you? Is there a personality trait that that person represents for you that possibly is no longer serving you in your own life? Perhaps something that you judge about yourself, something that you don't necessarily want to embody anymore, or that you really stake a claim and really, really strongly declare that you are not like that. And perhaps this is a version of yourself, what we like to call your shadow self, wanting to come through. So I'm going to give you an example of this because I know what I'm saying is probably a little bit wishy-washy. So imagine that you have a dream about a neighbor that you had when you were a kid. You haven't seen them in years, right? Possibly decades. And you suddenly have a dream about them. And so most people kind of think, well, maybe I'm supposed to reach out to them. Maybe I'm supposed to reconnect with that individual. And the answer is no, you're not. What you're supposed to do, and what I encourage you to do, is if you're having a dream about somebody who feels kind of random, think about for a moment, what did that person represent for you? So maybe this neighbor was a busybody, right? Maybe they were a gossip and they were always sharing neighborhood gossip and sharing that about everybody. And you judged them for being like that, right? You didn't like how they were always gossiping and sharing this information about other people. So what that's showing you is in your subconscious, there's a version of the self, of yourself, that you feel is possibly judgmental, and you don't want to be seen that way. So you will do everything in your power, in your waking life, in your conscious life, to seem like the opposite of that. And what you need to do then is a little bit of inner child healing, maybe not inner child, but just a little bit of shadow healing, where you can rewrite this version of yourself where instead of judging yourself for maybe being judgmental, you can start to look at it and go, okay, where am I showing up to try and prove that I'm not judgmental? What am I doing to kind of make it look like I'm the opposite of that? And where am I harming myself in the process? And starting to rewrite or rework that that feeling about the self. So I'm going to give a better example because judgmental is probably not a good example. Let's say that you actually saw that person as really selfish. You thought that they just took what they wanted and they did whatever they needed for themselves. And so you really judge that behavior, right? You represented that person in your mind. When you think of them, you think selfish. And so now you're doing everything in your waking life to not be seen as selfish. So perhaps you are a people pleaser. Perhaps you're overgiving, oversharing, maybe at the detriment of your own personal needs, all in fear of being seen as selfish, right? You don't ever want to, that's the biggest insult, is for someone to see you as selfish. And so when that comes up in your dream, and you see somebody who represents that for you, it's your subconscious telling you that it's time to heal this, that perhaps you're doing a little too much on the opposite end of the spectrum to try and prove that you are not selfish. And so what do you then need to do when you see this come up in a dream? When you see this come up, then you have to kind of rework or reevaluate, what does selfish mean to you? And can it actually be a good thing? And do you have to not work so hard to try to prove to others that you're not selfish, right? And so then you can sort of go in and do a little bit of healing and try and rephrase it. Is selfish actually a good thing? When I serve myself and fill my cup up, it's actually more generous because then I am offering people the best version of myself. And so it's okay for me to take time for myself. It's okay for me to do things, to create boundaries and, say no to certain invitations, because when I serve me and I do the quote unquote selfish thing, it actually serves others because they get the better version of me, instead of giving over of myself and just giving to the point where I'm pouring from an empty cup and people are getting the depleted version of me. So that's something that really I want you to notice when random people kind of show up in your dreams. What is that showing? The other thing that you may notice in your dreams is, and this is something that you really have to kind of do a little bit of research, and there are really a lot of really amazing dream dictionaries online. If you're seeing certain animals or certain experiences, such as your teeth falling out, or you're falling, right? And you wake up just before you hit the ground, or, you find yourself naked in public or whatever it is. All of those scenarios have been well, evaluated and sort of psychoanalyzed by many dream interpretation specialists online. And there are really a lot of fabulous dream journal or dream interpretation dictionaries online. And so when certain scenarios come up, never take them literally, always take them metaphorically and go and look it up online. What does it mean when it feels like when you see your teeth falling out in a dream? What does it mean when you see yourself being intimate with somebody that is not anyone you're normally attracted to? Does that mean something? And there really is a lot of really great information online. So definitely start to look those up because there is meaning to that. And usually there's healing on the other side of that. There's a part of your subconscious that's wanting to be looked at. There's a part of your shadow that's wanting to come to the surface. And the reason this is coming to the surface is because it's an old way of showing up for you. It's an old survival tactic that you have been using in order to feel loved and accepted by your peers and more importantly by yourself. And until you can accept this version of yourself, you cannot you can't move on. You can't grow and evolve and become the more aligned person that you need to be. And the reason it's so important that you do this work is your spirit guides at this particular time of the year are giving you all of this information about what you need to do to show up and to create your most aligned path and purpose in this life and to live your shiniest, most vibrant, most truthful life. But if you keep falling back into old patterns and habits due to subconscious beliefs that you have about yourself, you're going to find it very hard to take action on these downloads. You're going to find it hard to make a change. So if your guide is telling you you got to get a handle on your money this year, and it's time to really figure out what figure out your finances, and then you have a dream that night that is representative of judgment towards somebody who you believe to be selfish, well, perhaps you have a subconscious belief about having money as a means of being selfish, right? And that's something that you need to heal. So once you get access, it's like the perfect window to your subconscious. So when you are trying to create manifestations, you're trying to create your aligned life, you kind of go, but I'm feeling blocked. Your dreams are the key to what is blocking you and where you are getting stuck. So definitely pay attention to your dreams and look up on those dream journals what the subconscious belief is that's coming through that you're needing to look at, to heal, to love on, and reinterpret and reevaluate. I'm definitely going to do another episode on this on how to begin to do that healing. But the one thing I will say that I really want you to to do in this time is if your dreams are really vivid and you're remembering them, get a dream journal. Take a journal and keep it by your bed and tell your guides before you go to sleep, spirit guides, please allow me to remember my dreams when I wake up. And then as soon as you wake up, before you do anything else, before you grab your coffee, before you brush your teeth, before you go to the bathroom, write them down. Because if you start your day, you will forget what your dream was about as you move through your day. So definitely write it down the second you wake up. And the more that you write down your dreams, the more you're going to remember them each night. And I've gotten to the point where I spent a whole entire year writing down my dreams every morning, to the point where now, except for maybe in this postpartum period, I usually remember most of my dreams and I'm able to look at them and really use them as a means, as a tool for self-development and healing my shadow. So I highly recommend that you do that. So guys, those are all of the tips I have for you for today as you kind of enter into this Lion Gates portal. Pay attention to your intuition, tap in if you haven't tried it yet, keep a dream journal and keep track. And I'm so excited for the amazing journey that you're about to go on this week. And please hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM, share with me what are the amazing aha moments and downloads and synchronicities that you're experiencing in this Lions Gate portal. Wishing you so much love and light as you head into the rest of your week and this beautiful month. Have a beautiful weekend, guys. Bye.